West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gents, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. A little quick check-in here. I'm one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast at Machel, St. Patrick, Hewitt, and it's taken me a while to actually sort out the recording here. Internet where I am is really sketchy. Even when you lot are watching this, it won't surprise me if it comes across quite, like pixelated, and I'll have to see. Maybe I'm fine. But what I do know is this: I'm about 30 minutes out from the end of the West Indies women's defeat in the first game of the World Cup qualifiers to Scotland women. Unexpected, not undeserved. Hayley hit a magnificent 114 not out whilst on 1 foot, but unfortunately that was not enough for the West Indies women to see it over the line, because other than Zayda James, everybody else abdicated responsibility. It was one of those classic innings where everybody just waits for the next person to come out and sort it out, and waits for the next person to sort it out. And they know Hayley's at the other end. So they're like, oh, Hayley and the next person will sort it out. A whole heap of awful dismissals. At least 5 of those 10 dismissals, I thought, showed no awareness of the match situation, or were just poor execution of shots. But like I say, ultimately an abdication of responsibility. And if I'm Hayley, I'm absolutely fuming if I'm Hayley in the dressing room right now. But she's the captain. She's gonna have to lead from the front. She's gonna have to rally round the troops. We've got 4 games left. Ireland on Friday, Pakistan after that on Monday, then Bangladesh on Thursday, and then Thailand to end it off. We're already, but unbelievably, we're already in win or go home mode. So at least they know now that there's no margin for error. And come Ireland on Friday, then they best come correct. But that's not what this video is about. The reason why this video is being recorded is because we didn't have time to / forgot to record our round 6 review of the West Indies Championship. Obviously, at the time of recording, we've got the next round of games about to start in about an hour and a half. The big 2 games are obviously Trinidad versus Guyana in Trinidad. Whoever wins that wins the championship. But you've also got Leewards versus Barbados, which is a day-night game. There is an outside chance that Barbados can win this championship. If Barbados beat Leewards and Trinidad get first innings points in a draw against Guyana, then Barbados technically will win the championship. If Guyana and Trinidad is a washout, then whoever wins out of Leewards and Barbados will win the championship. But I think rather than get into the permutations, it's really this simple. Every one of those 4 teams needs to just concentrate on winning and worry about whatever happens after that. Okay, so we'll see. It makes the final round intriguing. In terms of the other 2 games, CCC play Jamaica, and West Indies Academy are hosting the Windward Islands Volcanoes. So like I say, at the time of recording, that all gets underway in about an hour and a half. But I did just want to return back to what happened in round 6 and talk about some of the standout performers without going too into detail, because there's some more videos coming in the next week or so on some individuals that have taken part in this year's West Indies Championship. I've got a few things to say on some of the individuals. But anyways, let's start with the Windward Islands Volcanoes versus Barbados. Barbados won that game, obviously by 2 wickets, I believe it was in the end. So the standouts there, Sunil Ambrish, 110. Good for him. He hasn't had many. I mean, I think that's his first century of the competition. Somebody will correct me in the comments if I've got that wrong, but that was a good knock from him. A blistering knock in a subpar Windward's first innings. Matthew Ford had a great all-round match, 43 and 66 not out with the bat. I think he took 4 wickets across the match as well. I think Matthew Ford is on Darren Sammy's radar. I'm not saying I expect Matthew Ford to be in the Barbados, in the West Indies Test squad versus Australia, but I would not be shocked if Matthew Ford is playing Test cricket before the end of this year. I certainly expect him to be in the West Indies A side for the South Africa series. Kyle Mayers returning to domestic cricket, red ball cricket, for the first time in a long time. Hit a 40 and a 70 across the 2 innings. So good to see that from Mayers. He was batting at number 5. Another forgotten man of West Indies Test cricket. He's not in PSL. He's not in IPL. So he's available right now. I'd expect to see him in the lineup for the final round, in round 7 for Barbados as well. Remember, Carl Mayers averages 32 with the bat in Test cricket and 18 with the ball, yet we haven't seen him in 2 years. Keon Gaston, 6 for 52. He's also included in the Windward Islands Breakthrough Cricket League. So we'll see a bit more of Keon Gaston after the West Indies Championship is done and dusted. But that's a really good, that was some standout figures, some standout bowling. I want to see a bit more of him. Granted, it's in a different format of cricket in terms of T20, but he's not somebody who's on my radar. So I just want to see a bit more of him in that breakout league. And then Kavem Hodge, 99, sorry, not 99, not out, hitting 99. Alec Athanase, 78. I think both those two are under pressure. It would not shock me in the slightest if one of them is not picked in the first 11 that plays West Indies, that plays Australia in the first test. It wouldn't shock me if one of them is not even included in the squad for the first test versus Australia. So timely knocks by both of them. Given that they play West Indies Academy in this final round, they may want to follow that up with some more noteworthy knocks to just ensure that Darren Sammy has them in mind. Ramon Simmons, 6 wickets, the left-arm seamer. He's played nearly the full season for Barbados. Good to see his progression after some injury-hit years. And then Shane Mosley, Sugar Shane Mosley, 109. Craig Brathwaite was down bad, but I'm not worried about that. Maybe I should be worried, but I'm not worried. He's still the premier opener in the region. Let's pivot to Jamaica versus Trinidad. Obviously, Trinidad, if they'd won that, would have given themselves a significant cushion going into today's game or to the final round against Guyana. They didn't. They shit down themselves in the day-night match. Jamaica batted first, made 370 odd, which put Trinidad under huge pressure, knowing that it's a day-night match and you're going to have to bat under the lights, and the ball was hooping and seaming and this, that, and the third. And Trinidad couldn't cope. Jamaica couldn't cope the second time round either. But once Jamaica had that first innings lead, they were in pole position. Javelle Glenn hit his first ever first-class century, 140. A man messaged me and said, "Oh, why not Javelle Glenn in the West Indies test squad?" I said, "What?" And let me just address this before I get to the inevitable Kevlon Anderson conversation as well. A man hitting a century in the West Indies Championship when it's his first century, that doesn't mean, like, it's great for that's on an individual level, it's great, but that doesn't immediately correlate to call up for West Indies. We have to have higher standards, demand consistency, demand repeat performances, stop all this short-termism and instant gratification. This ain't pornography we're watching, people. Demand consistency. Jermaine Blackwood hit a 61. Mansingh, not with CCC, back for Jamaica. Maybe that's why his performances got better. Hit a 67 and took 3 for 41 in the first innings. Josh Da Silva, obviously he's had a very good season. 3 centuries. He got another, notched up another half century. 86 in Trinidad's down bad innings. Marquino Mindley, he's been very consistent. He always is in the Red Bull Championship, 3 for 37. Brandon King, that's his third 50 in 6 innings, 89. A man messaged me and said Brandon King's only averaging 39. In fact, it's 40. Brandon King's only averaging 40 in this year's championship. That's not enough to get a West Indies call-up. Okay, let's have a wager on it. Anyone who's watching this who thinks Brandon King won't be in the West Indies test match squad for the first test against Australia, let's wager on it now. I think he will be. I think he will be. And maybe do you know what? Maybe I should stretch it. Okay, let me stretch it just to make it a bit more equal. I think Brandon King will play in this test series versus Australia in at least one of the test matches. I'm willing to have a wager on that. Who wants to take me up on that wager? Get in the comments below. Brian Charles, 4 for 82. Carrie Pierre, 3 for 43. He's now on 37 wickets for the season. We'll have to reward Carrie Pierre for that, but I don't know in what format of cricket. I've got a feeling they might take Carrie Pierre to Ireland for the ODI matches. I could be wrong, but I just suspect that he will get rewarded for this season he's had. It's worrying that 4 of the top 5 wicket takers in this year's championship are left-arm spinners, but it is what it is. We can't say we're surprised. I think it's Pierre, Permol, Bishop, and Warwican. I mean, we can't say we're surprised. That's what happens. Left arm spin is the kryptonite in the region. All you have to do is turn up. Like, I'm right-handed, but I reckon if I bowled some left-arm spin lollipops, I'd bowl down a few men as well. Brad Barnes took 4 for 19. Oldene Smith 3 for 19. He's got 14 wickets this season, Oldene Smith, and a couple of 50s. I'm not saying I'm impressed, but I'm glad he's playing some red ball cricket. Playing red ball cricket helps your foundations and your fundamentals. And whilst I'm sure Oldene Smith is studying T20 cricket, and that's where he actually wants to be for the short-term bag, it probably has helped his cricket that he's played a season of red ball to just work on his fundamentals, establish a defense, and actually work on his bowling lines. Nobody's going to want to pick Oldene Smith up in a T20 down bad league unless he can show a level of consistency. And that level of consistency will only return for Oldene Smith with a steady diet of red ball cricket as well to work on his line and lengths. Let's go to Guyana versus Leewards. That match was a draw. Kevlon Anderson hit a 77 out and 101. I've lost count of the number of people who've messaged me, whether on TikTok, on Insta, on X, essentially saying Kevlon should be in the test squad for the first test against Australia. Utter nonsense. I'm not hearing that. The only way Kevlon Anderson gets into any West Indies test squad against Australia is if he follows up this domestic season with a brilliant performance or performances against South Africa A in the Ace Team Series. Stop trying to destroy the careers of young youths. Kevlon this is his breakout season. He's not had another. All the other stuff that Kevlon has done has been for West Indies Academy, games against Emerging Ireland. I got 100 in a couple seasons back in that Headley versus Weeks series. But respectfully, last season he averaged 33 for Guyana. So now, because he's having a great season for Guyana, you lot immediately want to shove the 24-year-old youth man into the West Indies squad to play alongside other youth men who are already struggling themselves. Stop it. Stop it. I'm going to do a full video about this. But again, it goes back to my biggest critique of the West Indian fan base. You lot have a fetish. You lot have a fetish. You have a short-termism fetish. You're looking for short-term pornographic gratification. That's what this is. You see a man hit a century and you immediately say to yourself, right, straight into the West Indies test side. Slow it down. Let the meat season. Let it marinate. Let the juices sink in and season everything up. Like, what's wrong with you lot? You just want to throw in fresh meat into the team and then start cussing when they get bowled down. And you're wondering why they're getting bowled down at the age of 24 at the highest level of the game. Relax, no man. But that doesn't discredit Kevlon. Kevlon's a fantastic cricketer. He looks like he's got the sound fundamentals of the game. But this is the domestic level. The next stage is West Indies A. Let's have the conversation again after that South Africa A series, assuming that Kevlon will be playing in it. Casey Carty returned to form with a 92. That's good to see. Machel Louis, couple 50s, 73 and 61, which puts pressure on John Campbell. John Campbell started the season well. Yes, he's had some injuries, but he started the season well to the point where I was convinced, right, John's coming straight back into the test side and he'll start the series against Australia alongside Craig. I still think that might happen, but Machel Louis has fired back with a couple centuries, some 50s, and the pressure's back on. So what I'm expecting to happen is that Machel and John should both open against South Africa A, and whoever performs best in the A-team series probably takes the slot. Good on Machel, though, because coming out of the Pakistan series, I was just of the opinion, right, Machel needs to just take a break now from international cricket, tell him to go back to domestic cricket and just make consistent runs. But then he might argue, well, hold on, look at my season this year in domestic cricket. I'm making the runs. Bring me straight back. Or don't drop me. I'm still good to go. What would you lot do? Get at me in the comments below. Read Machel Louis, John Campbell. Ronaldo Ali Mohammed, he should play in the A-team. He's the top wicket-taking seamer this season. He's continued his fine form. Another fifer in the Leewards first innings. Tevin Imlach has continued his fine form. I think that's his third century of the season. He's been beaten down on the domestic man. That's what an international player is supposed to do. So well done to Imlach. I'm not buying this idea that Imlach should be West Indies' next captain, but certainly Imlach's in my test team. And then Javier Spencer, 5 for 77. Well done. And then the last game of round 6, CCC versus West Indies Academy. So the two down bad or the two weakest sides in the competition. Joanne Jeremiah hit a 47 and a 107. Continue. He's been on my radar for a while, Jeremiah. If it all depends on what they want to use the A-team squad for. If they want to use the A-team squad for developmental purposes, then you open with Cephas Cooper and Johan Jeremiah, sorry. If they want to use the A-team tour against South Africa A to get ready for the test series against Australia, then it has to be Machel Louis and John Campbell. Get at me in the comments below. What would you do? Go for giving developmental opportunities for the youth men, or looking at who your actual test opener should be with Craig Brathwaite? Shakir Paris, 52, 56, some dual 50s, again, continuing his slow but sure development. We continue to monitor him from afar. Joshua Bishop, standard, 6 for 78, spinning down man with the left arm spin. He should be in the A-team for certain against South Africa A. Teddy Bishop, he hasn't had a good season, or hasn't had a strong season, but a timely 99 to remind us about his potential. Remember when he got selected for the West Indies senior side? We said that was stupidness when he got selected. Should never have happened. Worst thing that could have happened for Teddy Bishop. But he's still got talent. I just would like to see scores like that 99 on a more regular basis. And then lastly, the other standout for me was Chamar Holder, who again is on for the last 12 to 18 months, has been on that slow but sure comeback trail, and he's been more consistent this season with the ball. 4 for 81. So those are the standout performances that stood out for me in round 6. Maybe you lot had some other performances that you think, oh, what about that? Why didn't you mention this guy? Why didn't you mention that guy? I think I'm not looking for anything particular in round 7. Yes, I'd just like to see some just general, again, consistent performances, so on and so forth, from people, but I'm not looking for any one individual. But we'll reconvene again for sure. At the end of round 7, we'll reconvene, might do a live show on it, just looking at the whole of the West Indies Championship. And let's see, and then at the end of that, let's decide and let's make up our West Indies A team to play South Africa A, because really and truly, that's what the West Indies Championship should really have been about who has stood out, who do we think has put themselves in the conversation to be on the fringes, not in, on the fringes of the West Indies Test team. Listen, I've been Machel St. Patrick here at 1/2 the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. A little quick one there, because I can't stay long. I've got things to do. So under 20 minutes, that one. As ever, like, share, subscribe. Road to 12K. I think we're about 5 people away from... No, we're not. Are we? I don't know. Anyways, like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. And as ever, you can use the super chat. You can use the super thanks, everything as well to contribute. I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket.